Hey everybody, I am your host, Miss Wedeh Guar, and I am thrilled. Before I even get to say anything else, happy 2025, happy New Year's. We are in the New Year's and we are with new guest hosts who have different tips and strategies to make our lives as simple as possible. But it only becomes simple when you take actions towards your goals to make them attainable. Today's episode is something that I once struggled with. Miss Catherine, I struggled with this for, I don't know, as long as I can remember. But I would love for you to introduce yourself, give a brief bio about who you are, and we can take this episode away.
Well, I am an author. I've written 12 books at last count, and I am a forgiveness coach, been in business as an entrepreneur for 20 plus years.
Wow.
That's the quick version.
That's the quick version. And if you would like to get to know anything about her, like she said, go to her website. And what is your website that they can read everything about you?
Well, my first name, thanks to my mother, is spelled a little odd. Thanks, Mom. And it's Katharine. It's KatharineGiovanni.com.
Okay, you guys, there you have it. And Miss Catherine give you a hint in her intro. Today's episode is about forgiveness. Miss Catherine, I feel like forgiveness, right? I know that forgiveness is a vital step into us reclaiming our peace and releasing emotional burden, but at the same time creating a safe space to create self-love and growth. That is my version of forgiveness, right?
Mm-hmm.
What do you think forgiveness is to you?
Well, first of all, everybody who's listening or watching this broadcast on a 10 scale, with 10 being an unforgivable, horrible person that
Mm-hmm.
you really can't forgive, and 1 being the easiest person in the world to forgive,
Mm-hmm.
everybody's thinking of their number 10s. That's why people don't want to forgive. And the thing about forgiveness is everybody teaches us we have to forgive. Everybody, your pastor, your parents, the Bible, anything, it's everywhere. Nobody teaches you how.
Mm.
And what if you don't want to? What if all you can think about is that unforgivable person? What do you do then? You don't want to forgive. You kind of want to stay angry. So that's what I've created. I've created a step-by-step system that will help you forgive. Now, a few things. First of all, just because I forgive you doesn't mean I want a relationship with you. I probably don't.
Hold up, before you
Forgiveness doesn't mean
else,
repair.
what and why is that?
Because forgiveness is selfish. You do it for you. You don't do it for them. The person you're mad at is probably not even thinking about you at all. They're going out, they're doing their own thing. They don't give a damn. Excuse my language. But meanwhile, they're alive and well in your head, and you're thinking about it, and you're dreaming about it, and it's bleeding through your body language, whether you want it to or not. So forgiveness is selfish. You do it for you. You don't do it for them. My definition of forgiveness is I want you out of my head. Bottom line. That's what I want. I want you out of my head. When I look at Facebook or wherever I am and I see your name, I don't want to think about you. If I see you at a party, I don't want to think about you. I don't want to care.
Mm-hmm.
So forgiveness is selfish. You do it 100% for you, but you don't have to reach out to the person.
Right.
It's not like AA. I've been sober for 35 years. 35? I think it's 35. It's the only New Year's resolution I ever kept. A lot of water under my bridge, so to speak. And when you first go into those rooms, you're taught that you have to forgive and you have to reach out and you have to make amends. Well, I am an extroverted introvert now. But
Mm-hmm.
back then, shy as a church mouse. Absolutely shy. So the thought of reaching out to somebody who might yell back at me, yeah, no, left me cold. So my system is it's selfish. You do it in the privacy of your own home. Nobody has to know you've done it. So that being said, you can forgive dead people because where they are or are not doesn't matter a lick because they're alive and well in your head. And forgiveness is, I want you out of my head. That's what it means.
So, how do you think, or let me just say it as it comes out. How do you think a single mom who is not given the opportunity to speak because she's not allowed to speak what she's feeling, right? Her
Yeah.
emotions. How can she forgive herself?
When I do this, when you do the system, and there's worksheets and all sorts of stuff in the back of the book, but I'm going to have you create a list
Hmm.
and I want you to write it on paper.
Okay.
And I know the young people listening to me, and I could say young people because I'm 63. I know you're going to want to do it on your phone. I get that. But there's something magical about going from your brain down your arm and writing it actually by hand on a pad of paper. So find a pad of paper and write down your list. Don't judge it. Write down whoever comes to mind. And then I want you to rate them from 1 to 10. 10 being a dumpster fire, 1 being easy. Easy meaning the person who cut you off on I-95 yesterday. You could forgive that person.
Yeah.
The person who cut you off on aisle 4 of the grocery store or reached for the same product. You could forgive
Hmm.
that person.
Right.
You could forgive, the mother at the park yesterday who just kind of dissed you. You could forgive her. She's having a bad day. She probably was at the end of her rope. You could forgive these people. They're easy. And I want you to rate all your people from 1 to 10. And then I'm going to have you start with the number ones. And I'm going to have you work up to the way to the number 10s. And because you're all alone in a room with your phone off, there is an off button, people. Now, I said that to somebody about a couple months ago, and the color drained from her face, just drained from her face. She said, I can't turn it off. She got really upset at me. But there's another button in there. It's called the mute button. Don't vibrate it, because if it vibrates, you're going to hear it dancing on the desk.
Right.
Mute it. And then put a little piece of paper to the top that says turn phone back on. Unmute, because that's what I have to do, because I
Right.
forget. And
Right.
then I miss calls. And I want your kids to be napping or at school, or I just want you to have 15 minutes by yourself, even if you have to lock yourself in the bathroom, which I used to do. Was one to go into the car and just take phone calls in the car, because I was an entrepreneur with kids. I used to take calls in the car, in a dressing room. It was fun. But then I want you to look at the first person on your list. Now, this is if you can, I want you to imagine who they are as you knew them then. Because I want your list to include everybody from the sandbox to present day. And if it's somebody who you were in the sandbox with, meaning grammar school, you grew up as a child, I want you to imagine the person as you knew them, as the child, not the adult they are today. And if you can't imagine them in your mind, you can put a chair in front of you and talk to the chair,
Mm.
right? Can you imagine your childhood bedroom in your mind right now?
Yes.
Can you see the color of the walls?
White.
Right. That's clairvoyance. Don't get scared. It doesn't mean you're going to see a ghost walk through like a Stephen King novel. What it merely means is your intuition. Every bit's another book I wrote, but your intuition, how you hear the little bird in your shoulder, you see it. That's how you see it. You see it through your mind's eye. You see it in the world around you. That's how your intuition works. You see the answers. Some people hear it, some people know it, some people feel it. So when you're doing this exercise, I
Mm-hmm.
want you to imagine the person in your mind or just talk to a chair. Now,
Mm-hmm.
this is your opportunity to let them have it. Say whatever you want. You can scream, you can cry. I don't care. Do what you need to do. And then I want you to put your hand on your heart, and I want you to say, I completely forgive Martha. I forgive the energy around Martha. I completely forgive myself. I forgive the energy around myself. I completely forgive the energy around the whole situation. Amen. So help me God. Godspeed. End it any way you want. And then imagine they leave the room. Why did I say energy? That's the special sauce. I can't tell you how many people come to me and said, I did forgive them. And you did do the work. You did forgive them. 100% you did. But
Yes.
they're not staying forgiven, are they? They keep making you angry, don't they? That's because you didn't forgive the energy around them. There's a whole chapter on science to back me up. There, Einstein clearly proved that energy is neither created nor destroyed. It just transforms from one thing to another. So when you get angry, you think it leaves your mouth and it dissipates in the universe. In fact, most people, 10 out of 10 people, don't even think about where the energy goes. They're just angry and they just figure they're talking. But it's like a radio wave. It magically leaves your body, but it doesn't go anywhere. It stays in your energy field. Let me give you a visual. If you're listening to this broadcast, I'm about to hold a purple coffee cup right in front of my face. And if
Okay.
you want to see the demonstration, hop over to the video.
Right.
This cup represents anger and bitterness and resentment and all those things that we were all taught as kids to stuff into our bellies and ignore. I don't want you to ignore it. But look at my body language. I can manage my anger, right? I can hold it off to the side because I just got angry. I mean, this is easy. I can talk to you. I can manage my life with my kids. I got this. I can manage my anger. I don't know what you're talking about. The longer you hold on to it, the heavier it's going to get. And because humans irritate other humans, you're going to put more stuff in the cup. So now I'm using two hands to hold this cup off to the side, and it's starting to creep into my thoughts. I'm starting to talk about it more because it's starting to hurt. If I continue to hold on to this anger, now I'm holding the cup right in front of my face. My life has pretty much stopped. I'm talking about it. Even if I'm joking about it and laughing about it, I'm still talking about it, and I'm missing things. I'm missing things. I'm missing opportunities. I'm missing my dream job. I'm missing a money-making opportunity. I'm missing opportunities for my kids. Why? Because I'm so focused on my anger, I can't think of anything else.
Because you haven't
So
learned to forgive the energy.
because you haven't learned how to forgive. So using my system, and I'm going to have you start with the easy ones and work your way up to the unforgivables, which we're going to talk about in a minute.
Mm-hmm.
Even with the easy ones, the ones, the twos, the threes, the fours, it's going to allow you to move that cup. So now look at my body language. I haven't gotten to the unforgivables, but I'm starting to feel better. Coffee is going to smell better. I'm starting to notice opportunities. My energy field is lighting up and people are noticing.
So, do you think that a single mom, when she is very resentful, do you think her feeling of negative energy as far as not forgiving her past, maybe an ex-husband, ex-baby daddies, do you think that sometimes tend to seeps in her actions onto her kids?
See, I used to teach this in customer service. One of the things I used to do is I used to train concierge because I'm one of the founders of the independent concierge industry. And I used to go around the US and the world teaching customer service workshops.
Right.
I can teach you how to be a concierge of the highest caliber. I can teach you the words. I can teach you the body. I can teach you all of that stuff. But if you're angry, it's going to bleed through your body language, whether you want it to or not. Unless you're an actor like Meryl Streep who could mask her own body language, everybody's going to notice. And your kids, I was raised by a single mother, and I'm here to tell you, we're paying attention. We're watching you. We're watching your body language, and we're mimicking you.
They're
So if
like
you think we're not paying attention because we're playing a game, 100% they're paying attention. One of my sons is 31, and he comes out of his mouth with the most amazing things. The only way he could have known these things is by watching me. So your body language is teaching your kids just as much as the words in your mouth are teaching your kids. And if you teach your kids this forgiveness method, I can't tell you how much. I'm not going to say life is easy because it's not, but it's going to be less bumpy. See, I have men coming to me. It's usually the men. No disrespect intended to anybody who's listening who's a man. Not trying to be disrespectful. Really, I'm not. But, you know, one gentleman came to me and said, my anger is why I'm successful today. It fueled my fire, my story. This is how I built my business. This is how this is me. Okay.
wow.
Let's talk about that. Uh-huh. Okay. Let's say you go to, let's say you have a choice of two elevators,
Hmm.
an express or a local. And the only reason the one on the left is a local because some kid went in and pressed every button up into the 75th floor. So you have to stop at every single floor, going
Right.
all the way up to the 75th floor. Now, you can get to the 75th floor in that elevator, but it's going to be painful.
Because you have to
It's going to be really painful because you got to stop at every single floor. You're going to bleed. Things are going to happen. People are going to come on. They're going to get off. By the time you get up there, you're just going to be, I mean, you'll get there, but it's not going to be
yeah.
pretty. Wouldn't you rather get the express and take it up to the 75th floor?
Yeah.
That's what forgiveness does for you. And
Wow.
gratitude.
Wow.
You can take the local, knock yourself out, but I'd rather take the express. I've taken the local. I'm a breast cancer survivor. I'm kind of stubborn, but yeah, you want to take the local. You want to forgive. Now, one of the things you can do besides forgiving the energy is you can forgive people, places, and things. It's
Mhm.
another thing most people don't know. Everything has energy around it. If it's got energy around it, even this little microphone has energy around it. Einstein proved this as well. So, why do you want to forgive? Well, people say anger is toxic. Okay, how? I love the hows. How? I accept that anger is toxic, but tell me why. Tell me how, and I'll accept it. Here's the how. There was a Japanese water study conducted by a guy named, and I always get this name wrong. It's something like Matsumoto or something, but if you Google Japanese water study, I promise it'll come right up and you'll see the pictures right online. What he did is he took several containers of water. One container of water, all he did was talk to it. He spoke love to it, said he loved it. That's all he did. He just spoke these beautiful words of love. The other container of water, hate, nasty, the worst words that he could think of, he poured into that cup. Then he froze the water and he put it under a microscope. The water that he spoke love to had these beautiful crystal formations. The water he spoke hate to had malformations, black and brown, nasty, kind of into themselves. Why am I telling you this? Your body is 95% water. So when you're talking to yourself and you've got bad self-talk and you're angry and you're resentful, what do you think you're doing to the water cells within your own
Oh my
body?
God.
What do you think you're doing to the water cells in your kids' bodies?
Wow.
That's why you want to forgive and live in gratitude and joy.
Wow. So how do we get to this place to where we can forgive without forgetting?
Okay.
Because
Um
that's that saying to say, okay, forgive and forget. You can forgive, but you
there's
never
no
forget.
there's no such thing. Whoever coined that phrase was 100% wrong, and I will die on this hill saying this. They were wrong. I'll die on this hill shouting that out. It's not true. Nobody's going to forget. I'm originally from New York City, and your girl, we're not going to forget. Nobody in New York will ever forget. I'm sorry. We just don't forget. But
Not
what I can promise with this system is you're going to remove the emotional charge. So when you look at that name on Facebook, you have to go to the park and see your ex.
mm-hmm.
You won't care. You're not going to think good thoughts. You're not going to think bad thoughts. You're literally not going to care. You're going to be neutral about it. It's going to be gone. And that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for neutrality. Listen, I come from a very dysfunctional background. I was raised by two alcoholics. I was bullied in school and I tried to commit suicide in the 8th grade. So when I did my own system, because I do my own work, I drink my own Kool-Aid. Oh, I shouldn't say that. That's a horrible reference. It's a horrible
You
reference.
have to drink it. You got to taste the flavor first. Yeah.
Oh man. Please don't Google that. That's an awful reference. I shouldn't say it. If you're under the age of 40, don't.
I never
I
understood.
do my own stuff. Now they're all going to Google it, aren't they? Okay. Oh well. But I actually forgave the people in my past, my parents, who were my two of my unforgivables. I forgave all these people. And now when I look back at my past, I actually see the love that was there. I see the adults that were trying to help that kid.
Yeah.
I see the love that was back there. Do I really remember the dysfunction? I can if you make me, but I don't remember a lot of it anymore. Have I changed my past? To a certain extent, yes, I have, because I don't remember it. It's gone. And I know a lot of people listening, I don't want to think about my past. It was awful. I don't want to think about my ex, but I'm
Mhm.
only asking you to go back one more time. So let's talk about the unforgivables, because I know it's their ex, their baby daddy. Let's talk about
Oh,
what are you going to do for these people? Now, first of all, you're going to start with the easy ones.
uh-huh.
Okay. So you're going to work your way up to the dumpster fire.
Right.
I also only want you to do like 5 or 10 at a night, 5 or 10 at a time. And I'd like you to do it at night. Your body heals itself while it's sleeping. Do as I say, not as I did.
Yeah.
I did this exercise and I must have written down 50 names. I swear to God. And I thought, this is going to be great. I'm going to be like a phoenix rising from the ashes. I'm going to be a brand new person when I wake up tomorrow. It's magically going to be gone. It's going to be great. Okay. Didn't work out that way. I did forgive many people on the list, but I spent the next 3 days in bed with what everybody thought was the stomach flu. It was not the stomach flu. Remember those water cells I was talking about?
Right.
Your body has to get rid of the anger you've been storing in your body.
Mm.
Your body heals itself at night. But if you do too many, it's going to have to play catch up. And you didn't eat a piece of bad fish. It's really your body is just trying to expel all the toxic anger. Most people, when they only do like 5 to 10 at a time, and my friend Katie will tell you 2, 3 at the most. She's funny. She's probably right. I've been doing this a long time, so I can do more. But I want you to only do a few at a time. This is a marathon, not a sprint.
Mhm.
And most people get really tired when they do this. They get really tired. Some people feel their shoulders getting lighter. Some people feel movement in their solar plexus, which is right above your belly button, right below your rib cage. But you're going to feel something. So when you do this, I want you to say the mantra, and then I want you to check in with your body. How do you feel? Did your number 4 person go down to a 3? Great. Did your number 4 person, did it just magically disappear because you're legit free? Great. Cross the name off and go to the next one. Did your number 4 person magically go to a 7? Damn, why did that happen? Catherine didn't tell me that. Well, the brain is a marvelous tool. It's a beautiful tool and it protects you. So it's looking at you and saying, ooh, Catherine's ready. I'm going to open up that back closet that she's had padlocked for months and decades. And I'm
Mhm.
going to flood her with all those memories so we can go to the second layer of that onion.
Mm.
Forgiveness is like an onion and you peel back the layers. So even if you don't think it worked, oh, it worked. It worked. But you just removed the first layer. And the next layer might be better or worse.
And why is that?
Because your memories are going to start to flow out and things that that you have forgotten are going to come out and you're going to have to do another round of forgiveness. So that person to truly forgive a number 10, and I'm going to teach you how to forgive a number 10 person, the unforgivable. It takes you can't get a number 10 person down to a 1 just in a week. You can't do it. It's going to take some time to get that 10 down to a 9, down to an 8. It took me months and months to get my parents down to a forgivable level, which is why I want you to do the easy ones, because the people you rate between 1 and 5,
Mhm.
completely doable. Completely doable. The higher numbers are a little bit of a bear. So let's say we'll get to take one of my memories. Let's take the bully in grammar school. Okay.
Right.
And let's say you're driving down the road to work and you pass your childhood grammar school. And by the time you get to work, you're kind of pissed. You're kind of grumpy. You're feeling off. You've got a stomach ache. Why? Because you started that movie in the back of your head that you didn't even know was there, the
Mhm.
childhood bully, and it bothers you. And the energy of the building when you passed triggered that movie. And now it's playing and you don't even know it's playing. So, how do you get rid of that unforgivable person? Everything has energy around it. So when I wanted to forgive that bully from childhood, I didn't really want to forgive the bully.
Mhm.
And so I started with just forgiving the energy around the person. My friend Katie had one and she couldn't even forgive the energy. Okay. If it's that dark, it's your ex and you're that pissed off, Well, I want you to pick a memory and I want you to pick apart the memory. In my particular case, I decided to forgive the actual school building. I forgave the energy around the building. I forgave my desk, the energy around my desk. I forgave the chair. I forgave the playground. I forgave the kids who stood around and watched, and the energy around this.
Mm.
If it's your childhood home where you got lectured at the dinner table by your father for hours, oh, that's another one of mine. Never mind. You want to forgive the house, the table, the chair, the bed, the rug, the people, the food, the plate, the glass. I am actually not kidding.
So
And then it's
you
going
have
to lighten up that person, so it may still be a number 10, but you might get it down to a low 10 or a 9. That's why the unforgivables are going to take a minute. And I don't want you to do it again right away. I want you to wait 24 hours and then do it again. You only do the forgiveness mantra on a person once every 24 hours because you have to give your body time to heal, especially when you're dealing with those high numbers. If you've gotten to the high numbers, you may only want to do 1 or 2 a night because it's going to be too much in your body.
So you said something that I have a question about, right? You said that you can forgive the actual object, like
Mm-hmm.
the building, the place, but how about the actual person?
Sure, if you're ready to forgive the person, not everybody's ready to forgive the person. If you're so mad at your ex that it's just still making you spit, then pick a memory and pick apart the memory.
And how do we pick apart the memory?
Well, let's use somebody named Aunt Martha. I do not have an Aunt Martha. This is why I use this whenever I do podcasts
And
because I
Martha,
don't have
we're
a
going to use
Martha.
and Martha.
We'll use Martha. And I've always promised podcasters if I run into a Martha, I will change the name out. I promise. So let's say every Thanksgiving you are sitting next to Aunt Martha.
Mhm.
God help you. And she is vitrolic, meaning she spits out hate and she knows exactly what buttons to push and she pushes them every freaking year. And it takes you a week to get over it
Mhm.
because you're upset and you're crying and you can't believe it and you're telling everybody, right? So how, and you ask your parents and everybody, please don't sit me next to her. But somehow, even if you're not sitting next to her, that
Right.
awful woman, she's either right next to you or she's like a bee to honey, man. She'll find you in the house someplace. Why aren't you married? Blah 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 blah. I mean, you could hear it right now. So how are you gonna fix Aunt Martha? Okay, you're never gonna fix Aunt Martha. Ever.
Mhm.
But you could forgive anything. If you believe in football, did your football team lose last week? Forgive the football team. You
Mhm.
can forgive anything. You can forgive politicians, dare I say. You
Yeah.
can forgive the war in the Middle East. What's it going to do for the war in the Middle East? Absolutely nothing. But it's going to do wonders for you. So, what are you going to do for Aunt Martha? Pick a Thanksgiving. Last year, if you want, 2024, 2023, don't care. Pick one of your all time favorites that took you 10 days to get over. And now I want you to pick apart the memory. I want you to forgive the table you sat at. It's very serious. I want you to forgive the house where the Thanksgiving took place and the energy around the house and the energy around the table. I want you to sit down and I want you to write your list. Instead of writing your top 10 and rating them from 1 to 10, I want you to pick a memory and I want you to write the things in the memory: the house, the table, the turkey, the car I drove, the garage, the people around it. And I want you to forgive all of these things in that memory and the energy around all these things. And then I want you to wait 24 hours or 48 hours and I want you to pick another year and do that at least 2 or 3 times. So by the time you get to Thanksgiving, you're not going to care. Your number 10 unforgivable, I don't want to be near Aunt Martha, is probably, you're going to probably be able to dial it back to like a 5 or a 6. So to the point where she's going to try and push your buttons and it's not going to work. You'll probably laugh. It's not going to work. It's going to be like water off a duck's back, which is probably going to piss her off, which will be very entertaining to you. Because the more you laugh and smile and treat her nicely, the more angry she's going to get. And in your head, you're like, how does it make you feel? How do you feel?
How do
Yeah.
you feel, and Martha?
But
Yeah,
that's the thing about this forgiveness thing. One of the things I have to warn you, when you start doing the forgiveness work and you start with the ones and you move your way up, certain things are going to happen with the people around you. Jim Rohn is a very famous motivational speaker, and he said, you are the sum of the 5 people you spend the most time with. So who are you spending your time with? So as you do your forgiveness work, some things are going to happen. And I know this because it happened to me. Some people who you thought were really close friends are going to turn into jackrabbits and they're going to run. Absolutely run. And they're going to be gone. And you'll never see them again because you're changing the energy and they don't like the energy you're changing into. They liked the old you. So they're going to run. That's their solution. Some people are going to be on you like bees to honey. They're going to love what you're doing. They're going to love your energy and they're going to be attracted to the new you and they're going to want to be around you. So new people will be coming into your life because they like the new you. They think it's great. Then they're going to be the people, usually family members, usually people you live with. They're going to try and sabotage it because they like the old you. They don't want the new energy. The new energy doesn't make them feel good. They want the old you. So they're going to try and sabotage it. And that's your cue to either keep them in your life and put them on your forgiveness list and do the best that you can, or move them out of your life. It's completely your choice.
wow.
That's one of those things you're just going to have to decide. They keep doing it because new people are going to come into your life. And if you're living with a narcissistic person,
Mhm.
okay, the more happy I get, the more gratitude I get, the more forgiveness and love that I can get into my body, the more it's going to piss them off, which is more than mildly entertaining for me because I know what I'm doing. So I'm making you angry. And I know why I'm making you angry because you don't like the loving person I'm turning
Yeah,
into.
that I am.
May I suggest maybe you find other living arrangements? You're
ASAP.
not going to change them,
Yeah.
but you can change yourself. See, I can't control what life throws at me. I'm also a cancer survivor. I told you there's a lot of water under my Catherine's bridge. Wrote a
Yeah.
book about that too. But I can't control what life throws at me, but I sure can control how I get through it. And forgiveness and love is how I get through it. I forgave 1974, the whole year. I said I completely forgive 1974 and the energy around it. Why? Because that's the year I tried to commit suicide. I forgave cancer and the energy around the word cancer. I forgave the chemotherapy I had. I was sick for 4 years. I forgave the radiation. And I would actually sat there and say, I completely forgive radiation and the energy around radiation. I forgave the table and the slab that I had to sit on. I forgave the chemo chair. And I can't tell you how much that got me through my bitterness and my regret and my anger against getting sick like that.
Wow.
I forgave the jackrabbits who left my life.
Right.
Why?
Mhm.
I did that for me because I didn't want to think about them anymore. I did
At
it for
all.
my own sanity.
Right. And like we said, forgiveness is selfish, right? And I truly believe forgiveness is selfish. So once upon a time, I lived in Iowa. I decided to move from Iowa to Texas. And when I moved to Texas, I had so much resentment from the past.
Yeah.
And it was from my childhood, my upbringing, failed relationships. And
Yep.
I mean, someone can tell me something as, oh, what's wrong with your eye today? And I'm holding that.
Yep.
So,
I feel you. I
yeah,
was the same.
I mean, it was like, I don't know if it was overly sensitive or just being too, I have no description for that back then.
You snapped at everybody because that's what I did.
Everybody. I mean, I
Yeah.
will walk
Yeah.
around and you will actually look at me and say, I dare not talk to her.
Yeah. You didn't want to.
Yeah. So I didn't like that funky side of me.
And you were getting sick too, I'll
I
bet.
was getting sick
Every
from
Tom, Dick, and Harry flu bug and cold bug, you would get it.
yeah. And so I left work one day. I was working at this warehouse. I left work, and for some reason, my whole mind and spirit and soul just wanted to drive. I chose to drive to a lick. I sat there. I don't know why. It was just the
The
energy.
angels took you there. I'm just saying.
Yes. And I grabbed out my pen and my notebook. I sat at this river and I wrote. I don't know how long I was there for. I didn't count the times. I didn't even check. I didn't even care to check. It was just something on my heart that I needed to release out of my
Right.
soul, my spirit. And I wrote down every name, every action, everything that they did to me. I folded that paper, threw the pen in the water, threw the paper in the water, sat there and cried my eyes out.
You tapped into my system. You tapped into it by accident.
I don't
Yeah.
know how, but it's like I cried
Yep.
until I felt at peace.
Right.
Now, I know that I got to the lake mid morning. When I left there, it was evening.
You were there for a good 7 hours.
Yeah, I was there.
Easy. Easy.
I was there. And on my way home, it was this sense of joy, like just play some music. And here I go dancing in the car. And then I go like, shit, am I bipolar? Like what the hell is going on with me? But I was like, no, I'm not. I'm good. I'm just gonna keep listening to my music.
You decided to change.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
when I did, I forgive my past. I
Yep.
forgive the child's father. I mean, I forgive people so easy now because with me, I say it's a good toxic trait that I have. I don't see it as bad. You can do something to me and you can sit in front of me. In my mind, the image is there, but I have
Right.
canceled out your soul. You no
Yep.
longer exist, but you're just there. When you talk, yeah, I'm going to respond, but we have nothing in common at this point.
See, just because you forgive them doesn't mean you want a relationship with them. And you can talk to them. You can go to a party. They can be there. And there'll be, you're not going to forget what happened, but there's going to be zero emotional charge. The
Yeah,
emotional charge is erased.
yes.
That's how you know you've forgiven somebody. You can go on Facebook. You could see your ex-partner there. And it happened to me a few years ago. I saw my ex-business partner and I looked at her name and I thought, I don't care.
Mm.
Even wished them a happy birthday. Didn't care about that either.
Ooh, yeah,
You don't care.
yeah.
That's the beauty. And what's going to happen to your life? You're now going to be able to pay attention to other things within your life.
Then you're
Now, do I suggest you do it the way that you did? Possibly not. Because I'm sure that you spent a couple days tired in bed because the emotions of it, you were probably exhausted.
very tired.
Yeah, I'm sure you were
You
kind of
I
sick
got
for a couple
home
days.
and took a shower and just got into bed.
Yeah, that's because of the emotional energy, the water cells, you kind of released everything all at once. So that's why I tell people only do 10 at a time. Unless you really want to get sick, but you can do 10 at a time. And what happened to you everybody can have that. Now, let me give you a little example of why you felt that way. It's the law of forgiveness is like the law of gravity, and it's going to work whether you believe it in or not. The law of gravity could be called the law of keeping Catherine on the ground. Doesn't care. It's going to work. I don't believe in the law of gravity. Still doesn't care. Still going to work. Doesn't care if you believe in it or not. The law of forgiveness is the same. So I did my own exercises and I took my level 1 person that I grew up with. We were very tight in grammar school and I thought easy peasy. Couldn't even remember what we fought about. And I hadn't spoken to this person in over 30 years. Not kidding. Possibly longer because I'm that old. And, I sat in the middle of my bed. I imagined her as she used to be way back when, and I didn't even feel the need to say anything. And then I imagined that she walked out the door because I was in my bedroom sitting on my bed at the time and imagine her floating out the window. I kind of felt bad because I didn't want her to jump out the window. It was just a personal thing. So I imagined that she walked out the door and then it was done. And 2 hours later, she called me up on the phone. And I am a concierge trainer, so my concierge training kicked in virtually immediately.
Right.
And we said the right things, and we made the right noises, and we forgave each other. But I'm a curious little bear. And I said, after all these years, 30 plus,
Right.
why did you call me today? She said, you
Mm.
know, it was the damnedest thing. A figurine you gave me in school fell off my shelf and landed in the middle of my floor 2 hours ago, which was exactly when I was saying the mantra. And she said, I saw the figurine and figured I should give you a call after all these years. So if the power of forgiveness energy has the ability to move a figurine off a shelf 700 miles away for a level 1 person,
Wow.
what do you think it's going to do for the higher numbers? And what do you think it's going to do to your life?
Transform your life.
Your life will be transformed. But this is not a quick fix. I
No.
can't say this enough. This is not a quick fix. This is a marathon. It is not a sprint. The first few are easy. The ones, twos, and threes, they're completely easy. And as I said, I've got worksheets and stuff that you can use in the back of the book. But this is a commitment that I do every night before I go to bed. And I will lie in bed and I'll think of the three things I'm most grateful for. Could
Mhm.
be just I had a hot cup of coffee that day. Some days are harder than others. And then I will forgive. I do up to 10. Don't, I can do more, but I've been doing this for many years.
Mhm.
Do like 3, 4, 5 people. Write your list during the day. And then just before you go to bed, use my mantra, do it in bed, and make sure that if you want to say something to the person, do it. I don't care. If the person's passed on, we don't care about that either. Imagine they're still in front of you as you knew them when they were alive. And as the weeks go on, watch your world change.
So, what is the mantra that you suggest that people use to find forgiveness?
Well, you don't have to burn any incense unless that's what makes you happy. Go for it. You don't have to hold any crystals or anything unless that's your thing. I'm a very simple soul, and it's I completely forgive Catherine. I completely forgive the energy around Catherine. I completely forgive myself. I forgive the energy around myself, Catherine being another Catherine. I completely forgive the energy around the entire situation. And so it is. Amen. Godspeed. End it any way you like.
Wow.
That's it. It's a very simple
Yeah.
thing. There's no dancing, no incense, there's nothing. It's just a simple thing. And I really want you to be by yourself when you do it. Have your hand on your chest because it's the words are just for the humans. It's really the energy behind the words that is where the magic is. And then I want you to check in with your body. Are you still angry? Okay, what number is it now? Is it higher or lower? Did it not change at all? Okay, well, I guess I have more work to do. Maybe I need to pull out a memory and start picking apart a memory because I'm still angry. Write down the memory. Wait 24 hours and do it again. Well, again, it's always the men. I feel like I'm bashing men. I really don't mean
Maybe
to.
not.
But a lot of men will look at me and say, I have nobody to forgive. I'm good. Okay, sure you do. Okay, did you watch sports last week? Yes. Did they lose? Yes. Forgive the team. Did you watch CNN? Yes. Did you get irritated at any story that they put out? Several. Forgive them.
Hmm.
Pull apart those stories and forgive the people in the stories. There's always somebody to forgive. Humans irritate other humans. There's always somebody you can forgive. And if you really aren't believing a word that I say, then just say the following words for the next week. I completely forgive myself for not being able to forgive and the energy around this thought. Say that every night before bed for a week. And what's going to happen is your brain is going to open up some closets and
Mhm.
it's going to and some drawers and it's going to let some shit out. Excuse
Wow.
my language. That's what's going to come out. And as this stuff comes out, write it on a piece of paper. And now you've started your journey.
This is powerful. And if you have not tuned in to get any insights and practical tips on how you, being a single mother, can use this system to embrace and work on your forgiveness, then I truly don't know what you're waiting for. Because from the water example to the mantra to the tips about writing everything down on a notebook, when to do it, who to do it for, and numbering it down
Mm-hmm.
to a precise number. Thank you so much, Miss Susan.
Oh, it's my pleasure. And when you're writing your list, you don't have to just write people. You could write periods of time. A lot of people, it's like, my childhood was awful. Okay, forgive it all at once. Say, I completely forgive the stuff that happened in my childhood and the energy around it. Start there. If you don't want to pull out the people in your childhood, just start with the bigger piece. And then as you forgive that particular piece, memories and names will come into your head. You may or may not remember who these people are. One of my besties had wrote down in her list a little red wagon. She had no idea why she wrote down a little red wagon, had no memory of a little red wagon, but yet there it was on her paper. She just wrote it down without thinking. That's what I want. I want you to write your list without thinking. And she forgave a little red wagon. Needless to say, it was a level 1 because she had no memory of it, but she forgave it. So you can forgive people, places, things. You can forgive social events. You went to the club and nobody asked you to dance. Okay, forgive the club, forgive the dance.
The ex-boyfriend left you, or the baby father left you, or you got a divorce, or
Right. You
you
forgot to you forgot to pick up your child at school.
school.
Forgive yourself for not
Forgive
picking up your
yourself for
child.
that. Yeah, forgive yourself for that. It is so hard for single mothers who I have come across to forgive things about themselves, their
Ah,
mistakes.
this is the first book of 3, and I'm actually writing book 2 right now, and the next book is all about how to forgive yourself. And there'll be a chapter in there on how to forgive money. Hello, money is energy. There you go. But how to forgive yourself is a little preview because I'm still writing the book. I want you to take it the same way as you're forgiving people in your life. So this is how I forgave myself. I took my life in chunks. And what happened to me in the past, as of this morning, is now in my past. Yesterday is in the past. I'm a different person today than
Mhm.
I was yesterday. So I looked at Catherine as a teenager,
Right?
and I was a different kid back then.
Mhm.
And I did the best that I could to survive the environment that I found myself in. And I could forgive that kid. And I could forgive the people around that kid. So I used that and I pulled out a few of the things that I thought I needed to forgive myself for because we're humans. You can't get through life without water under the bridge and hurting people. You don't mean to, but it happens. So I forgave myself for the memories that I thought I needed forgiveness for, and then I went to Catherine in her 20s. I did it again. This didn't happen overnight. It took me weeks because I was doing it decade by decade by decade. And that's how I want you to forgive yourself. Save the big ones for last. I will sing that as loud as you want me to. Always save the hard ones for last. Do the easy ones first. Because by the time you get to the unforgivable thing you think you need to forgive yourself for, you'll be better prepared because you've forgiven yourself for all the other stuff. Save the biggies for last. And never put one of those big things into your nightly practice with 10 other people. Do them by themselves.
By
The
themselves.
big ones deserve a whole night to themselves because it's a lot of energy.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Miss Catherine, thank you so much. Looking to forgive yourself, to find the peace and reclaim the joy, letting go of burdens, such as emotional connection with someone that you have not ever thought about forgiving. This is the episode for you. Miss Catherine, thank you so much. Not only have you educated me on forgiveness, I'm sure, I'm 100% sure, whoever comes across this podcast is going to be educated because the tools on this podcast, this episode is going to give somebody a breakthrough in their life.
I hope so.
Yes, it is going to.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Thank you for subscribing to all of our social media platforms. Single parent, solo shift community. What am I saying? Today's life, for some reason, I cannot talk. Solo Shift Podcast on Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, Instagram. And we are here to give you insights and practical tips to use to your advantage as single mothers, not to thrive, but also be the best version of yourself. Bye for now. This